Good evening from London, UK. It is Sunday. It's just a smidgen past 10 o'clock and it's Wicked Women. We're here. And of course, I can't do Wicked Women without my Wickeds. So I'm going to bring them on, the lovely Carly and the lovely Val, who are on my left and right of me. But I first of all want to wish everybody a happy Sunday. Welcome to Wicked Women. I'm going to bring in my lovely Val and my lovely Carly. How are you doing, girls?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's dark here. It's dark here because it's stormy and rainy, but at least I have some signal. Hopefully it won't drop.
And we're praying it stays as well. Carly, how are you doing?
I'm here, so I'm excited and happy to be here. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Noticing the whole glow going on. It's looking great. Looking great.
How are you doing, Wendy?
Me? Oh, thank you for asking. It's been a bit of a busy week. I'm pretty tired. Yeah, you know, I'm here. one of those days. No, I'm okay. Thanks for asking. Busy weekend. I literally put the promo out late today, and Scotty was on earlier on, and I went in and said, "Hey, it's Wicked Women Night. What are you doing? Off you go." He was like, okay, I'm going.
Yeah, I noticed he came on late.
He did. And I'm like, listen, buddy, it's the Wickeds. Out you go.
Back off.
Yeah, back off, buddy.
All right.
How is everybody doing? Welcome to Wicked Women. I want to say hello to Alison, to Sandra, to Michael, to Colleen, and Alison, and anyone else that I cannot see because I haven't got my glasses on yet. But welcome. We have an amazing topic tonight. I mean, we try to come up with some topics that we think our ladies and our gentlemen will enjoy. And one thing we know on this show, everybody loves, as Ken would say it, the three-letter word, sex. We wanted to look at it a little differently tonight. We're talking about sacred sex. And I need to get my glasses on because it's that time of the night where, you know, I've got my notes up and I'm like, I need to put them on. Because
I can't see without mine.
I cannot see anything at all. And the thing about when we were talking about this subject, you know, sex, everybody sees sex in these days. Anyone has it everywhere, doing it with everyone of any, you know, color, creed, nation, sexuality. It's, you know, it's on tap. But is it sacred anymore? Has sex become something that's not sacred? Because it used to be seen very much as a sacred. It was seen as divine. You know, it was a gift from God. It was God's gift to the humankind so that we would enjoy procreation, etc., etc. But I think, and also over the years, we've known with witchcraft and in tantric and Freemason, etc., and so many others, it's a ritual. It's part of the ritual. So this is what we wanted to look at tonight: was, has sex become so casual now? And is it still sacred if we have sex without there being that mind, body, soul connection? And Carly and you and I chatted about this earlier on this week. And, you know, when we were talking about it, what were some of the thoughts that you had behind it?
Oh, goodness. For me, there are so many because it can be looked at and viewed in so many different aspects. That's why I feel like today's topic can spring off into several other episodes as well. Because as you mentioned, it's, you know, ritualistic. It's viewed that way in religious aspects. It's viewed as the divine. It's viewed as a union. But then there's also the other side where it's just viewed as it's casual. It's not sacred. And what social media and the media itself has done in portraying it, shows, movies, all of that. There's literally, my brain is just all over the place with this topic, Wendy. There's so many points on it that we can discuss.
I mean, we talked about it the other day, like when we were talking about why is sex sacred? And as you say, right from the start, it was seen as, I mean, it's from the Latin word sacra, which means sacred, holy, consecrated, and is blessed or revered. I think that's right, or revered. That's the one. And modern religion has defined sacred and spiritual as being very separate from the body. But in the old days, in Christianity, they were very much on the same path. And certainly with sex, the ancient Latin roots of the English language actually imply there was a different understanding. It was a sacred act. It was very special. It was reserved for, procreation, and also seen as well in ritual, especially with witchcraft, as we know, because it's power. You're lifting your vibration. When you're having sex and when you orgasm, you're getting a higher vibration. You're lifting yourself up. And Val, we've chatted before about with witchcraft and the craft, how sex is seen very, it's very important. It's very part of the rituals. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I've read several things, and I think it all comes down to, the individual. I think it's not just the act, but it's your feelings behind it.
Yeah.
If you go into something, if you go into it, viewing it as a ritual of some kind, be it the pagan or, the fertility orgies or whatever, then that's what you're going to get out of it. If you are, if you have that love aspect, then you're going to get a more spiritual, a different kind of spiritual, reaction out of it. So I think it all depends on, how you go into it.
That's a good point.
You don't always form that call knocked my sound out. I'm going to go out and come back.
Okay, no worries, love. No
worries. Can you hear me?
Because I can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
I can't hear you, so I'm going to go out and come back.
No worries.
Sorry.
What I was going to bring up, because it was an interesting piece which I found, was sex is sacred, Carly, because of its role in bonding two people together, mutually satisfying sexual exchanges which increase your bonding. Because you meet someone, you date them, you're starting to fall in love, and using this example, and then you get intimate with each other, and it increases the bond and connection between you. And the next thing you know, you're kind of like, wow. And then the sex becomes more intense and more powerful. And you feel that you can feel that physical connection between you and that person.
Yes, definitely. And that takes it to a whole other level when that aspect comes. That's, typically when the love feelings of emotions will start to come in, when you bond and create that emotional connection with that person while being physical with them. Because now not only are you guys connected up here at the same time, you're connected up here while doing it with the physical act of sex, as you said, the unionizing of each other. And it's a beautiful, amazing thing that when you have that love connection with it, it is very much so sacred, in my opinion.
Yes, because we can have sex without it being sacred, and that usually means that we don't give our heart. We're not being emotional. We can have sex, it can be casual, and as I said, non-emotional, because we're not giving the heart. And so with tantric, for example, it's about slowing down, awakening your senses, tuning into your chakras, feeling that energy, not rushing to have an orgasm, not rushing to finish sex, but to take the time and to build the energy up. And I don't know about you girls, but we've all been there in the past when we've had the quickies, and it's just kind of like, okay, let's just do that. And it's like, but when you take your time and you actually have the longer lovemaking session, etc., you can feel that energy between you. You can feel it.
It builds everything up. It builds your thought, even your thoughts, are heightened. So, yeah, quickies, that's fine if that's what you need. Mm-hmm. But, in order to experience something more, you kind of have to put more of your heart and soul into it, more energy into it.
Yes, because when you bond, when you bond with someone, you form an enduring connection, or at least as long as it lasts. Right. And you feel that sense of intimacy and appreciation and caring. And you feel like you belong, like you're drawn to that person. Now, in my dark, distant past, looking back on that, there were times in my life that I didn't realize the power of sex until I got older.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how powerful sex is until I got older. When I was younger, it was kind of like, gotta do it, gotta experience it. And my God, I was saying to Carly the other day, it's without going to massive details, I was brought up in a generation that we didn't talk about sex. We didn't talk about orgasms. We didn't talk about sex. It was like, oh, it's there, but you don't mention it. So right. I didn't really know until I kind of got into my 20s going on, but I think until I reached my 40s was when I really appreciated how wonderful and how sacred sex is, right? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, Val's having real difficulties tonight. So come again.
Oh my gosh.
Can you hear us?
Every time I get a call, it knocks everything out. So I'll be back.
Okay. So you know what I mean though, Carly, you know what I mean? Like we've both probably had relationships where we've not had that mutual bonding and it's just been fun and we've been enjoying ourselves. But which one, over the years, like we both can have, nowadays we can have both. But I don't know about you, I prefer the other one with the sacred, the bonding.
I am with you on that one, Wendy. I do as well. I, in my distant past, had the fun times as well where I wasn't in a relationship because there had been times where I was mainly in long-term relationships the majority of my life. And so there was a time in my 20s when, I was like, well, let me just have some fun. I've been with somebody this whole time. Yeah. And yeah, the quickies, the casual sex can be fun. But as you get older, and as you were starting to say and mentioning, the power that there is with that unionization, when you have that sacred sex with that person, it's a lot different. And it's not just, oh, hey, I just want to rock my socks off to have my orgasm and then bye. When you're older, things escalate to different levels and you're not wanting to just go out and have that fun because, I'm sorry, guys, but who are we kidding? We got our bobs. We don't need to go out and have casual sex.
Well, I think it all comes down to, what you want out of it. If you just need that sexual release, then, you may still form a bond with the person, but it might be just the friendship bond. And, that trust bond. It may not have to, it doesn't always have to be that love bond. But I think that when you do have that love bond, it does make sex way different than any other, casual or anything like that. When you actually do feel that, you can literally feel that love bond grow when you are in love with someone.
Yes, indeed. And, I was just looking at here where some notes I picked up on it, and it says, it's an interesting point to think about that sex was God's gift to humankind. having a divine design and an intentional purpose. It was a way for us to reflect his image through our physical bodies, and it was a special blessing given to a man and a woman in a way to express intimacy with one another as husband and wife. Obviously, in these days, you know, there are perhaps less and less marriages. That's absolutely not happening all the time. But certainly let's have a look at that for a start, because we've all heard about the Madonna and whore. You know, it's been brought up. I think it was Freud that brought it up. I must find that in my note. But it's like, remember when Elvis Presley got married to Priscilla, and she was this young, beautiful 18-year-old, and you know, she got pregnant pretty quick, and Lisa Marie come along, and then Elvis just didn't want to have sex anymore. He was like, he saw her as the mother, no longer the whore. And the thing is, when we talk about the whore, it's always in this negative frame, which we shouldn't put it in that. But he didn't see her as sexy. You know, he saw that what they did was they created a life together as a baby, and it was all of a sudden that she was now the mother. She was not the sex kitten that he married. And have we experienced that in our lives? Have you ever had that experience, Val?
No.
You've not had that, no? You have?
No, I don't think I've ever been a sex kitten. So
I doubt that. I would doubt that.
So I doubt that has been anywhere in my lifetime. But I think you do change. I think you do change when you have children, but also after you get married, because, you know, you may still be desirable to them, but it's more of a love thing, not necessarily just she hot, I want to do her. It's more of a, that love connection that you have. Yeah. So it's deeper. It's no pun intended. It's a deeper connection. Once you have, once you do get married, then after you have children, they see you more as maternal. And even though they still have that attraction, I think it changes so much from the time you date, to even up till your kids leave and you get older. It doesn't necessarily always go away. It just changes. So I think that's why you have to have a certain kind of bond on a spiritual level, not necessarily just on attraction.
Carly, are you familiar with the Madonna whore complex?
A little bit, not as much as I should be. I needed to do a little more research, but I did want to comment on that part before we moved on, because I definitely did experience that, because becoming a mother for me, with my daughter having her medical complexities, was not just your typical, journey of becoming a mother. She spent her first 30 days in the NICU. And so we lived at the hospital. I never basically left her bedside. So needless to say, during that time period, like, their sex was like completely gone. I was just full on in maternal mode. Like, there was not even thoughts of that, because never knew what was going to be happening with her. And as she did get older and her health started to improve, I mean, it was still that way for a little bit, because she had so many appointments. There was just so much going on with taking care of her, that it was like there wasn't even time for us to be physical and like have that part of aspect of our relationship. So I definitely think that, things change physically with sex and attraction and, every little detail as you become a mother, and your relationship changes as you grow older with your spouse, or, even if you're not married to that person or whatever. Life can be however it is now, but I definitely think things evolve. It's always changing. Nothing in life is always certain.
I think as well that men often say that if they see some men, not all, but some men say that if they see a child born, they look at the downstairs region completely different. And where it was like going to the pub for a few, it's like a whole different thing now. Just to say, you guys is going live. We are going live tonight on the Dark Huntress YouTube, Wicked Women YouTube. We're going live on Twitter. We're also live on my Facebook page. And I think you guys may have to make sure that your live are open to the public, because last week's they weren't. I just wanted to mention that because it's showing me up here. I'm just checking at the moment to see our connection. And yours and Val's doesn't look like, I don't think it's on public. It's on private, just so I wanted to mention that.
I'm going to grab my other phone real quick then.
While you do that, I want to bring up the Madonna whore complex, because it's a very interesting point of view, which I find, if I've got my note here.
Mine's on public.
Oh, that's cool. When I did my counselling, we learned a lot about Freud, and Freud is just in a whole new league on his own. But he
was kind of a weirdo.
He was, bless his heart. But basically, the Madonna whore complex is where a guy looks for a good woman. He finds one, they have sex, they get married. And that's when the problems begin, because it's a man's inability to stay sexually interested in a good woman he's married to. And obviously that becomes a problem for her too. And Freud says that he believes that this problem was a natural result of a man seeing women as either sacred, as in the Madonna, or less than saintly, as the whore. And for the woman, whether she is the Madonna or the whore, she can have respect and hot sex, but not both. The poor woman, wife, girlfriend in such cases, not only misses out on sex, but they miss out on love too. And I think that's an interesting point, because sex is supposed to be sacred between a man and wife. We're taught that it's supposed to be special. And yet here we are reading about Freud saying that a man gets bored with the wife. He doesn't see her in the sexy way anymore. And his interest goes. So in a way, we're kind of jumping from 2 feet as women, Carly, trying to keep all our balls in the air.
Yeah, like seriously. So, hey, be a mother, be my wife, take care of the home, do all of this, still be progressing and making sure that you're centered and you're, have all your chakras aligned and everything's going right. Like, whoa. And also make sure that you're ready to be that sex kitten at any given moment in time.
Exactly. And, Val, you're a mum. You're a wife. Did you find that sometimes that you were the Madonna, or were you, or the whore, or did you manage to, using that example from Freud?
Well, I think on a certain level, you kind of have to be, because you have to play not necessarily even. Sometimes you have to be more of one than the other. But you also, in my experience, you kind of have to make yourself, come out of that maternal, I don't know what it's called, that maternal position, so to speak. And kind of try to get back that natural, instinct again. I think it all depends on the situation of things. You can't always, turn off your maternal side. So you do kind of have to juggle both.
And you change. You
do.
And it's not like you've gone from being the sex kitten, as Robert puts down, Terry, to being like, hang on a minute, I'm trying to do the mother, I'm trying to cook you dinner, I'm trying to work, and you still want me to be ready for you. So I think sex has, this sacred of the mother, the wife, whatever. It's changed. And I think that we've lost something along the way, because, you know, as I said, when I was growing up, sex was seen very, very much as it was special. It was, and let's look at virginity, because that's something we talked about in the promo. Is losing your virginity something very special? Is it something to treasure and to keep? Should you see your body as a temple, or is it something to just go, oh, thank God it's gone? Like for me, I was terrified to lose it, because it was kind of like, oh my God, oh my God. But at the same time, I was kind of intrigued about what was waiting for me and what was outside in the world. But I was also like, oh my God, I was so terrified. It was like, I didn't just want to give it to anybody. I wanted to give it to somebody who was really, really special. And it meant something. How about you, Val?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, you know, I think I kind of saw it as something that's truly mine, that I, you know, I did hold it dear. But, you know, when I did find someone that I loved and trusted enough, then it was, you know, it was kind of like for me, the biggest gift I could give someone.
Mm.
So, you know, I think that made it special for me.
Do you think they saw it as a gift?
I don't know. I mean, they married me, so I guess.
How
Had
about
2
you,
babies with them, so.
How about you, Carly?
Wow. It's, you know, I would like to say that I have different standpoints on it. Back when I was younger, you know, when it was happening, it was a huge deal. I mean, we did talk about it a little bit more with my generation. It wasn't as closed off, but you know, the way they did talk about it was, it's gonna hurt, you're gonna bleed, it's gonna be awful. Like, made you, like, scared you into it rather than prepared you into it.
True.
Yeah.
True.
And so I was literally like terrified. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna hurt me. Like, what's gonna happen? Like, I was petrified. And then it actually happened. And at the time, I, to be honest, wasn't ready, but I had told my partner that I had a long-term relationship with that, hey, I'm gonna likely get caught up and heated in the moment. So when it happens, you know, I might say I'm ready, but you need to ask me like 15 times, not just one time, and make sure I'm fully ready, because I'll just be caught up. You know how it gets when you're in the moment with somebody.
Yes.
And that's what happened. We were in the moment, but Wendy, he asked me once, and then we had sex, and I was not ready, and I felt like I had lost something huge and magical and special that I had now got taken. It felt like he just took it right from me by only asking me that one time when we were caught up in the moment. Now, you know, I'd say it's completely different. Like, I would not, I mean, things with my daughter are not going to be the same as with others, but I would not be, you know, scaring her into it. Like, there's so many things you and I kind of touched on. Like, I think that's going to have to be a whole show in and of itself. Is like, I like to call it the, like, I don't know, urban myths and legends that the prior generations taught us and told us about things that then come to find out, we lose our virginity, we give birth to a child, we go through menopause, we do these things that they either talked a lot about or didn't talk about at all, and come to find out what they've been telling us our whole lives was wrong. Like, one thing just random, but because it's our women's show, that what they always tell us, at least over here in the United States growing up, if you have cramps when you're on your period, get a heating pad, use a heating pad. That's all they ever said was heating pad. You know, I mean, obviously warm bottle, all those other little things, but that was like the main thing when it came to it. Wendy, I just, for the love of God, like a month or two ago, I was having horrible cramps. You and I both, I don't have the official endometrial diagnosis, but I've had all the symptoms since I got my cycle. I put an ice pack on. Oh my gosh, Wendy, my cramps were like poof, like instantly gone.
Because it's a spasm, isn't it? It's in a spasm.
Yes.
So with the ice, it sort of like cools it down. But I think you're right. You know, looking back, we are told, and I sometimes wonder if our mums told us that it was going to be painful and there was going to be lots of blood and it was going to be this, and so that we didn't do it, and it was seen as something sacred to hold on to. Because let's be honest, in some religions and in some cultures, virginity is like financially viable. You know, people want to buy a virgin, they want to have a virgin, they pay for a virgin. They even believe, I think in the Muslim religion, they believe that they'll go and they'll be with virgins when they die. So I mean, at the end of the day, virginity is seen as this prize, this winning goal, when actually once we've lost it, it's gone. Like, we're never going to experience that again. We're never going to have that moment in that time. We're going to have sex again, we're going to experience that, but we're never going to have that one moment where we were something completely special. And for me, it was like, I remember the you know, when it actually did happen, and I was with the boyfriend who I really liked and really cared about, and we had a great bond between us. And you know, it was kind of like, let's just do it, we're here, let's just do this. And it was a bit like shopping, really, a lot of pushing and shoving, and you don't come out with a lot in the end. But it's like, it was great because it got better after that. But I have to say that after it was over, I was kind of like, wow, well, that's that gone then, you know. And it was you know, it was kind of sad in some ways, you know. And I know people that are still virgins and they're older, and there's also a pressure. Why is it we pressurize people these days to give their virginity away vow? You know, we say to them, what, you're still a virgin? And you know, now on social media they're having sex at 14 and younger than that, and it's like, oh God, you're still a virgin. Why are we telling people to get rid of it?
Well, I mean, I was lucky growing up because my mother was a nurse or a gynecologist. So I knew, you know, pretty much before I had my first period, I knew what to expect, whatever. Before I had sex, I knew what to expect. I mean, and I tried to tell my girls the same thing. You know, I tried to never lie about anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I was proud of them because, you know, they didn't do the same thing I do. They didn't let peer pressure or anything like that control, you know, their way of thinking. I think a lot of times, excuse me, I think a lot of times people want you to be more like them. Maybe they're jealous because, you know, their first time or whatever didn't go the way they wanted it to. So they want people everywhere else to be more like them. You know, theirs is gone, so they kind of feel like that jealousy that they don't have what you have. You know.
And also with men, there can be a pressure from guys, you know, are you still a virgin? What, you're still a virgin? As if it's something to be ashamed of. And I think that, you know, it's very true that with virginity, women's lack of sexual experience before marriage has always been highly valued in some cultures, hasn't it? And some feminists, actually critics, have said, well, hang on a minute, isn't this high place on virginity of unmarried women used to control women, denying them freedom of sexual, you know, association and freedom? What do we think about that?
Well, they want, you know, I think, and not everybody, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot years ago they wanted that virgin bride or whatever because they wanted to know she was pure.
Mm.
They wanted to be, you know, the only one, even though they had, I mean, it was, you know, men were expected to have as many women as they could, but their bride was supposed to be pure. Now I think it's not necessarily the exact same, but I think a lot of men are uncomfortable knowing that if they're with someone that's had many partners, that maybe there's a jealousy aspect to it.
Yeah.
Or, you know, just, I don't want to say anything, you know, bad or stereotypical or anything like that. But just in my experience, I think men are more afraid of, maybe the women are more educated in that you know, experienced in that department, and it kind of scares them. If the women are less experienced, then they don't have as much maybe to worry about, you know.
Interesting point, because what would we say, Carly, if we're talking about a man who's a virgin, and as a woman we've got the experience, and then we find a guy who's still a virgin? That is a rare thing in itself. I have never met a man yet who's a virgin, or at least hasn't said he is. And it's like, do you think that if you know, how would you feel if you were to meet a guy and he said, look, I'm a virgin, you know, be gentle with me?
We'll modify my answer and say that I have been with somebody that has.
Okay.
It was rather shocking, to say the least.
Okay.
Because, you know, with men, I mean, like you said, how many men do you actually run across that are still virgins, especially as we get older? And to my surprise, though, this person might not have had the actual experience, but they had a lot of watching and you know, practice experience. And needless to say, this person performed like they were absolutely not still a virgin. So double shocker there.
But don't you think that sometimes they expect actual women to act like the ones that they watch, and that's just not the way it is?
Well, that's the thing too, is it goes along with what I was starting to say and touching on about, you know, things that they've told us all our lives that we come to find out are actually incorrect. Come on, people. Do we not realize that 99% of the stuff you see on TV and shows and movies, it's all fake?
Mm-hmm.
It's all fake, and it's driven into our minds through social media, the shows, all of that BS, to the point that people think that that's reality. Like, you know, you're saying with the women and how we have to juggle all of these things, and we do, but, you know, like we see them on the shows, like they're just doing it all, and they're still that sex kitten. They got all the energy. They wham, bam, bam, checked everything off the list, and look at them go. Boo! Maybe there's a type A woman like that around. Sure, there might be some, but come on, let's be realistic, people. That's not reality.
Well, the thing is, isn't it? Women seem to get the vamp, or, you know, the innocent. And it's like, you know, when you see like movies, TV programs, and, you know, I'm going to use this as an example with Supernatural. You see all the female demons that come along. They're all sexy. They're all vampish. They're all, you know, just, you know, sexy. And then you go to the angel side of things, and they're all pure, and they're all sort of like chaste, because, you know, it's still seen in that way that the two are very, very different. So even using Mary as in the Christianity church, Mother Mary, it's like, she's seen as this all amazing holy woman, although she went on to marry and have other children as well as
Right.
Jesus. But she went on to be this holier, in some ways holier than thou lady, and she was just a human being like we all are. But it was like, you've got to be seen like Mary. You've got to be very good, and not have sex is sinful with anyone else but your husband. And also as well, it's a way of controlling us. I truly believe that years ago women were controlled by the church, by men. If you think about it, pagan religion, in Wiccan and pagan religion, women were out like running around half naked, having sex, building the energy around the fires, rituals.
Well, there was Aphrodite expected all of her followers to have sex in her temple with a stranger at least once a year.
Yeah.
So, I think it's sex can be, of course, even now used for, good or bad. I think what I'm talking about is, between two consenting adults. There's so many other rituals that there's only one, person that's there willingly. The other one is not. And that is not, I don't feel like that's more of the ritualistic type, sacrificial type things. Not necessarily on a spiritual level, but more on a demonic level. But even in those rituals, sex is a big part of it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a very good point. The other thing as well, like some women want to buy back their virginity. They want to have the whole hymen restitched back on. And, I'm a born again virgin, which technically you're not, because it went bye ages ago. But some women feel the need to actually have it, stitched back and a new one, because it's like a rebirth. And how do we feel about that, ladies? Carly, how do you feel about that? Would you want yours restitched and be a born again virgin?
I mean, I always say with everything, to each their own. So, to each their own. But for myself, what? What? Wait, whoa. Like, really? Like, what? It's beyond that. Like, if you're thinking that you can just have your hymen stitched back together, and by doing that physical act of it, that you can't reverse it. What about the physical side? Or sorry, what about the emotional side of it, the spiritual side of it? What about everything that you gave away in the act of that moment? It wasn't just your little hymen that they took. You can't go get it stitched back together and whoa, I'm a born again virgin. I mean, if you want to, go right ahead. But that's a little off. That's a little too much for me.
That's an interesting point, though, because people become born again Christians, right? They go into the water and become born again Christians because they're reborn, and they see as the fact that they're being born back into a faith, and it's all new, and everything from the past is forgotten and forgiven, and it's being reborn. Isn't that the same as like restitching and becoming a born again virgin? It's kind of like you're trying to say the past doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm new now, and it's
but one is, it's the, being baptized is a spiritual renewal. It's, you're being washed free. Your sins are being washed away, so you can start new. The other is kind of symbolic, because nobody's ever going to go back. You can't go back to being a virgin. I mean, that's stupid. You can act like you are, but you know, no.
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, I personally would never want to have it restitched. It's like, no, because, you know,
I
that's a
mean,
part of real life, isn't it? You know?
yeah. I mean, why would you want to tear that thing again? Come on.
Ken has obviously said that he's a virgin and easy, and we all know this. And Colleen obviously says, well, the devil's a liar. So obviously, Ken.
Well, I think you can go without so long you feel like one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know.
But the other thing as well, like if you've not had sex for a long period of time, you've become celibate, because celibacy is seen as really sacred these days. You know, when people go, what, you're celibate? Or you're not been in a relationship for a long period of time. You know, it's kind of like a whole new ball game. It's like, well, it's been a bit, you know, it's been a bit
dry
quiet.
year.
Yes. And so what happens is that it can feel like when you have sex again, it's like, it is like losing it all over again. Not only is the whole painful side of it, if you're in that position, but emotionally, you're like, I'm opening pardon the pun, I'm opening myself up to have a sexual relationship again. I mean, I could just see myself digging and Ken just smiling as I said that. I'm sorry, I just could see it, right?
Well, this subject has a lot of puns.
It does.
Yeah.
Trying very much to not go down that road, because I know that Ken and Terry would at least be on their laughing their way through it, because they'd be like embarrassed as well. It's a very personal subject to talk about, and you know, I think there's a lot of, I mean, I do know some young girls who are still virgins who are caught in the trap between, they've been brought up from a family who are very religious, but also as a culture thing as well, for them to lose it, they have to be pure for when they get married, because it's expected for, you know. And also it feels like the father in some of these faiths, the father is not giving a pure daughter, you know, he's not giving that because she's damaged goods. And I think that some women, you know, in the old days, especially in medieval times, they would do terrible things like, you know, get fake blood and put it in the bed and etc., so that, you know, if they didn't have sex, at least they could take the sheets outside and say, look, it happened. A lot of pressure. I can honestly say that thankfully that went. We didn't have to go and get the goat's milk, the goat's blood or the sheep's blood and put it on the sheets. But when you lost yours, Carly, and it was gone, did you sort of feel like you'd gone into a whole new line of womanhood?
I did. And I was rather young when I lost mine. So there was a lot of emotions going into it. And like I said, it was a long-term relationship. It was my first serious boyfriend. And so, like it was like, you know, I've now at this young age gone into a whole other level of womanhood. And, you know, I had my cycle already for a few years, but I wasn't sexually active. So then there came into the play of, you know, oh, wow, like I could become a mother, you know, I could get pregnant now that I've entered this phase of womanhood. And it definitely majorly changed things for me, at least.
You kind of get this confidence vow, don't you, where you're like, done it, ticked it off, that's gone.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of, I think you go from that unknown, uneasy, you know, that part that scares you, to, oh, well, that wasn't so bad. I'm okay, you know. I'm good now, you know. I didn't necessarily feel like I had lost something. It was more, whew, you know, what as bad as I thought, that type thing. Because, you know, in your mind, you think, I mean, it's going to feel like, you know, I'm cutting my own foot off, but it's not as bad as, you know, you can read everything and people can tell you, but you still have that anxiety And then you don't have it, you're over it. You don't have that unknown anxiety, and you can go forward with being, changing from girlhood, I guess, to womanhood.
See, for me, I look back and I'm always glad that I lost it to who I lost it to. And I doubt he'll ever watch this show because I haven't seen him in years. But I'm always very grateful that I did, because he was amazing, kind, such a great guy today. I was in love with him. I was, his first kind of big love. And he was an amazing, he kind of put me on the path to where I am today as a woman, with my likes and dislikes and things that I'd never experienced before. He kind of gave birth to them in some ways. And so I look back and go, it was the right person at the right time to lose it to. And I'm so glad that I didn't feel pressurized to get rid of it and to get rid of it. I was 19 when I lost my virginity. And I think maybe I might have lost it earlier if my health had been better, but my health wasn't great. So I ended up not really seriously dating someone until I was 19. And then it was just like, oh my God, once you've done it once, you want to do it again. And it was this whole new magic, that all of a sudden. How old were you, Carly? Can we ask?
I was 15. Okay. Yeah, I had just turned 15, and I'd been with my boyfriend for 2 years already at the time. So, we were very serious. We had talked about it, but still at the time, I felt like I was too young. I regretted it. I was ashamed. I felt like I had something taken from me. And honestly, I think it's mainly just because of what, parents and the generations, teachers, school, everything had instilled in me, rather than me myself feeling like something had truly been taken from me like that. I think it was more so they had gotten in my head about it, because it is a big thing, but I was in love with him. I was ready. We were heated up in the moment, and I wasn't fully ready. But it's not. That's why I'm like, there's so many ways to look at sacred sex, because it is sacred, but then it can be the casual, and it doesn't have to be sacred. So it's like, I could go back and forth on, saying it could be either way and give many reasons for both.
Sure. I mean, Val, for you, were you sort of an age where you were ready?
I was 16.
16.
So, but I was prepared, mentally prepared. And I knew he was the right person.
Mm-hmm.
So I always waited. I always wanted to wait till I was in love with someone.
Yes.
So, that's what I did. So I never regretted it.
Afterwards. So we're looking at as in sacred sex, and then we want to, I wanted to bring in sex magic, because obviously in rituals, as you said, tantric, witchcraft, pagan, Wiccan, druid, also satanic as well. I have to use that as well. We have to bring that in. It's very much used as power, building that energy, building that vibration, and lifting your energy. And is still used to this day in rituals in certain faiths. I want to use the word faiths rather than religions. And I think for years, women have got this, as if we're witches, have got this bad reputation of she's a witch, she's having sex with everybody, blah, 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 blah. There's all these rituals, because in England, we have something called May Day, which is on the 1st of May. And apparently, if my memory's correct, on May Day, there was a May Queen, and she could pick anyone to have sex with. She was May Queen, and it was all about procreation. So she could have sex. And in fact, a lot of the women could go out and pick someone. and have sex with them, and it was all about procreation. And you had the maypole, which if you ever see it in English culture, it's red and white, and it looks very phallic, you know, and obviously it is supposed to be very phallic, and the red and white being the blood and the virginity mixing with each other, and them dancing in and out as in the sexual act. And we still do that in England. We still have May Day, maybe not to have the sexual orgies now that, you know, we have, and sadly the May Queen is
it might not be as you know, it might be a little more frowned upon today.
But sex magic, what are we thinking about that? Because if we bring up, and we will look at this, I think, in a further topic, because there are so many people involved with sex magic. I mean, people think of Aleister Crowley, Ida Craddock, etc. You know, it goes quite deep, but we're just looking at sacred sex, and obviously within these cults, in these faiths, in these religions, it is sacred. You know, we're giving our bodies up.
Well, I think it's sacred to certain people, not necessarily the ones that are not there willingly.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of times at those, you know, fertility rituals and the big orgies they had, not everyone was there willingly. They got them drunk and did what they wanted to with them. So, you know, I think it, you know, you need to have that line. What is sacred and what is just ritualistic? You know, what is there's a line between, you know, sacred and I think you can go sacred several different ways.
It's a very good point to mention that a lot of some of these, you know, absolutely, these cults and faiths, it is not consensual, and unfortunately they are used. They are used to use it, and that's something definitely we will certainly look at, because we've been talking about for a while now, doing the whole. And maybe this is where the sex magic could come in. But just if we're looking at the positive side of it, certainly in Pagan and Wiccan, it's about, you know, coming. I can't even believe I'm going to say this word. Coming together, joining as one, lifting that vibration. You know, the energy, the power.
Well, you know, I mean, you can feel the energy when you do, you know, have sex from the beginning to the end. You can tell the difference. It's like, you know, you do get electrically charged. So, you know, there's so much energy from both parties coming together. So, in that aspect, it would have to be, you know, considered really spiritual as far as that goes. And then if you have you know, other things going on as far as the magic or any kind of any other rituals, it just heightens it because, you know, you have that aspect coming in as well.
I like what someone just put there. She says, I lost mine before we got married in my mum and dad's bed. They were on holiday. We took advantage. That is, how many of us actually had sex in our parents' house while they were out shopping or on holiday? I'm sure there's a lot of us. I'm sure there's a lot of us. It was like, mum's out, let's go. You know, you've got like half an hour, let's get going.
Because I'm sorry, back then it just didn't take that long.
Really?
For them, anyway.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Just saying.
I mean, the thing is that now I've reached a point of this age, you know, I've had sex where it's not been emotional, and it's just been, you know, two people enjoying themselves. You meet, you date for a while, whatever. You enjoy yourselves. There's no emotion. The heart's not given. It's not a one night stand in that way, but it's not, my heart's not involved. And I've had the other side where my heart has been involved. Usually ends up getting broken,
But can't you can definitely tell a difference though, correct?
100%.
When you have a deep connection with someone,
You can feel it.
it's on another level. You know, if you just have casual with someone you like or whatever, friends, I'm not saying that's bad, but when you have a true connection with someone that you are emotionally involved with, it's on another level.
Yeah.
You know, because you do have those spiritual aspects into it. It's not just physical.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Carly, but you've been married how many years now?
Oh, I lost track. I think 8 years this year. We've been together 15.
Do you think that it's become more sacred to you, the connection that you've got now in that department, or do you feel that it needs to find it? How would you say after all these years?
I would definitely say that after all these years, it has still been able to become more sacred, and for many reasons, one obviously being, having a child and being able to make and set that time aside to be able to do that. But I didn't know that one was there. And so because there's that, and then our emotions, our relationship towards each other, our marriage, our feelings has just grown stronger and evolved more and more as the years have gone by, as our love has grown, with each day. So I definitely feel that it's become so much more sacred, and also that at the same time, like, it can still be sacred and a quickie and fun.
It's so lovely to listen to you and to hear about you've been married for a long time, and to hear that, because like Val and myself, we're in a completely different, situation. And I would do anything to meet and have that connection with someone and have it be sacred and special, because that's what I'm looking for the rest of my life. Because, having been there, done it, and ticked off, as Val said, the difference. And I don't know about you, Val, but it's kind of like it gets old. It gets old and boring if there's no feeling involved. There's not.
Yeah. Well, it's just it comes down to just fulfilling a human need.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing, it comes down to that, and you don't have that extra connection, that extra boost, so to speak. It lacks that extra spiritual and emotional and that feeling that you get. That I'm not saying it doesn't fulfill the need that you have, but it lacks that certain spark, so to speak. That it just puts it up on another level.
Sandra, you are a wild woman. We were looking after the house while they were away, and she was like, "Let's go upstairs." And Chris, did you ever tell your parents, Sandra?
Are they watching? Did they find out now?
Did they find out? We need to know that. Ken puts here, 22 should be in his bed, not your parents' house. Good point. But then back then, Ken, not many of us had our own places, because, if we weren't married, we were still, still at home, sort of thing. Now, Carly brought up a good point, Val, about the battery-operated boyfriends. And we talk about the bobs and everything. Is that, how can I put this? I have to word my words so careful, because otherwise I'll be jumped on by every single bloke in the sentence. When we have our time with our battery operated boyfriends, is that sacred? Is that still the same gift from the divine, from the universe, from the creator, whatever you want to say, because it's between ourselves. It's ourselves, whether it be a man, whether it be a woman. Is it still a sacred act?
Well,
To me,
think
it's
about
just it's again just fulfilling the need we have as human, a
So
human need.
you don't see the fact that you can have that orgasm, that special time. Isn't it still not a gift?
Well, sure, but I think most people use that as, you know, I think it can be if you choose to let it be that. But I think more than not, just use it as a way to get over that physical need that we have.
But you see, I don't just see it as a need though, because you get to know yourself as a person.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it can be. But I think more than not, people just use it as fun, or they don't necessarily go into that mindset of it being, more spiritual. It's more of fun, or just, something that you want to do.
But so many faiths, Carly, they see masturbation as a sin. They see it as a sin. And certainly as a woman, if you were to do it, it would be seen as a sin. How dare you do it? You are dirty, you are sinned, I mean, that's still going on.
And think about it. If they're on that side of the fence, then saying that it's a sin, then obviously it is very sacred, because why else are you freaking out about it and calling it a sin and saying it's all bad juju and all that nonsense, if it clearly isn't something very sacred and powerful that you can in fact have with yourself as well. You don't have to have a man. Think about it. You're connecting with yourself. You're aligning your chakras. You're uniting your own self. You're doing things that nobody else can do for just you. And having that sacred connection with you and your inner self, with your physical meat suit body and the spirit that's actually inside of there. Think about all that's combining and happening when that's going on. It doesn't have to be that it's just for your business to get the feeling. It can be much, much more than that, much more than just a physical need, even if it is just yourself or with your Bob. Just saying.
Sandra says, Mum's not listening to the show. Mum's not listening to the show night. But
good.
next time we won't actually know, because you didn't tell us. So we're actually not going to find out at all. Megan says, those religions do not value women's bodies as their own. I mean, using a nun as an example, they're very sacred. They're very seen as the higher level of femalehood. They are pure, they are chaste. They're still women. They still have those thoughts and feelings, but they're told obviously to not explore it, to not go down the road, to be chaste, to be seen as pure, as monks go down. Well, and priests. But I think what I was trying to get at is the fact that if we're talking about sacred sex, and sex is sacred, or cannot be and also not sacred, but if it's sacred between two people, because we have the art of procreation, we have the art of orgasm, and that is a gift. Let's be honest. Whatever, you're tired, your tension, whatever, it's a gift. If you're doing it just you, it's still releasing that energy, isn't it? It's still a gift. It's still a gift.
Oh, sure. It's definitely, yeah. I think, sex in itself is a gift. But I think there's so many different aspects of it that it's not necessarily one way all the time. Like we said, there's a difference between a quickie and taking your time. So, there's a difference between casual and with someone that you have that connection with. So there's so many different things, so many different aspects of it that can be, used in so many different ways.
As women, I think, we have shops now, like over here in Ann Summers, we call it. I think you have, what's one of your shops out there? One of your sex shops you guys have out there?
Lover's Lane, Priscilla's.
We have intimate treasures.
Intimate treasures. The main one we have a few over here, but one of the main ones that comes, Bondara. I think Bondara is one we have here as well. But the main one is Anne Summers. And, when Anne Summers come out, it was like, here was Jacqueline Gold. She was, a woman. Her dad was quite a wealthy guy, but she decided to set up Anne Summers from her table. She, it was the first time that women's had sexual toys sold from their dining room where they were having sexual parties. They could go get a little catalogue and choose what underwear they wanted to wear. You could buy all different kinds of vibrators and all different kinds of stuff as well. And she's gone on to make, Anne Summers $1 billion, £1 billion, business. And now it's like men go into Anne Summers and buy stuff. As a young girl, it's like, well, I'm going to Anne Summers, get my first bra. It seemed so very different. And you look to what our mothers must have been, because my mum was told nothing about sex. She was told nothing about. It was just that, it was there between a man and a wife.
Yeah.
Knock a few kids out, do your duty. And stuff like that.
Well, older generations saw it as procreation. I mean, that's how you got kids. As far as Victorian times, I can understand why they didn't want to leap in the bed all the time, because it wasn't the best, sanitary.
Yes.
They had stank. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they wouldn't have wanted to jump in the bed, but they saw it as, well, the women, had different bedrooms. The reason that they had sex with their husband was to have kids. That's pretty much it. Not all, but I think a lot of them were like that. A lot of kings' wives, they didn't want to have sex with their husbands for any whatever reason, but they knew it was their duty, so they did it. But I think it's came a long way from that.
And even to this day, like, we know of people, or at least of situations where they're married, they've been married or in a long-term relationship, and there's no sex happening. It's completely sex-free. And it's like, sex doesn't seem to be very sacred anymore, does it, in those situations, in those relationships?
Yeah, I think in those situations, a lot of them, that sexual attraction has turned into just a friendship, a deep friendship. And it's kind of, they've turned into roommates more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's more, I want to be with you, but not that way. That type thing.
Carly, how powerful is sex?
I mean, extremely powerful in so many avenues as well. Like, my goodness, like, each thing that we bring up could be a whole episode today. I mean, powerful from, like, which aspects are we looking at? Are we talking about still just like in a relationship? Because, as women or even as men, you can hold that over your partner as power to, say, get things out of that relationship or not get things, or keep said sex from that partner, because it is so powerful until they do or say or what have you, whatever it is that you're wanting to get from them by using sex as a power in that way.
So in a way, they're like using it as a control, isn't it? It's like, if you do this for me, I'll scratch your back, etc.
Yep.
Well, women are like that. They're still like that from way back. They're still like that. I mean, it's from leave your wife so we can be together to, okay, in order for us to be together, you have to kill this person. You know, there's that manipulative side that, you know, women abuse a lot of times because they know the power. Sex is so powerful.
I once heard a saying, and I can't remember exactly how it was said, but if only a woman knew how powerful between her legs is. And I just thought to myself, you could take that a lot of ways. But the fact is, it's always been seen, whether it's virginity, you know, because that's powerful, whether it's being a sacred in a marriage, the connection is powerful. And even now, looking at women now, we don't need to have a partner to have sex. We can take care of things ourselves. We're still like in the divine because we are of the divine. We are all, you know, sovereign. So when we're in that moment and we're on our own with our, you know, our little friends, we are still in that, you know, in that energy, that power. I think sex is incredibly powerful. And it can also screw you up mentally and emotionally, as it can screw you up physically. It can also screw you up when you don't have sex and you really, really want to have it. But the partner, and you know, I've had male partners, male boyfriends that just didn't see sex as a real big thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, hello, but I still do. How have we, you know, how does that make us feel as women when we feel in our power, like we're now these sexual beings, we can have sex where we want, we can take it? How do we now feel when men are actually taking that from us and not wanting to have sex, perhaps? And we've always felt that we've had to because we were supposed to. Carly?
Well, I think, you know,
says it all.
Yeah, I think it takes some of our, you know, our spark away. Because you think, okay, you know, what if I did that to you?
Yes.
What if I said, you know, the same thing you just said to me? What if I said it to you? You would get, you know, the men usually get mad, or not all, but a lot of them will get mad, or, you know, call us names or cold or whatever. But when they do it to us, it's fine. You know, it's like, I'm talking in my experience. It's kind of, well, you know, I want it when I want it. And just because you want it doesn't mean anything. You know, it's kind of a real downer for your ego.
Yes.
When you think, okay, I do this when I don't necessarily want to for you, but you can't, you know, put yourself through that for me. You know, it kind of makes you feel really bad about yourself.
What's your thoughts on that?
I'm not gonna lie, like I get extremely hurt and offended. Like I take that deep to my core. Like, you don't pardon me. In my opinion, at least, I don't know, because of my sexual energy essence and what I am in a relationship, if my significant other isn't wanting it from me, I'm gonna think, what the is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Why don't they want me? I'm gonna start, you know, spiraling with it. I'm gonna go down a whole other train with it. Like, I'm gonna start thinking something, what's physically wrong with me? Why don't they want to have sex with me? What did I say? You know, like
That's what we do. We turn inward. Like, what's wrong with us? And it's not always what's wrong with us.
But do you think men actually think that as well when we have done it to them? Do you think guys take that the same way?
Oh, heck yeah, they do. They just never say it.
Yeah. I think some do. Some just think we're called bitches.
Good point. I mean, I have been in, I mean, there is this pressure, I think, as women to have sex, and it's like, and I think I've noticed that when I was in some relationships where they weren't predominantly interested in having, sex, because they just maybe not highly sex. I mean, for instance, I was married for 6 years, as you know, to my second husband, and very matter of fact, he wasn't that way inclined. It was not a big thing for him. He could take it or leave it. It was, it wasn't great. And it left me for 6 years of my life going, what the hell am I doing? I'm with someone that's like a mate, a friend. Yeah. And yet if I dared chase it, it was like, oh, hang on, you're putting pressure on me. You're putting pressure on me and I can't perform. I can't make it happen. And also later years, I've dated a few people in later years that just had issues, that couldn't do it. And it made me feel, as Carly said, completely unwanted. And I didn't go out of my way to make them feel terrible, but it's kind of did make me feel like crap. Where I have, and we've all done it, let's all put our hands up. Who's gone ahead and had sex or done something for their partner, even when they were tired and didn't want to? We've all done it, right? So I think that's what I ask you. Is it still sacred in those moments? I don't think it is it?
No.
I think that's one of those, just the human need thing. You're just doing that to help your significant other. It's not necessarily on that spiritual level. It's more just on a human, a human need.
Bill Guy says sex should be the reward first. Perhaps you want to actually abbreviate on that, Phil Guy, so we actually know what you mean by that.
I was just going to say,
the reward for what? For what? Come on, tell us.
What are we rewarding you for?
Yes, what are we rewarding for? What are we giving you? Because that's true. I'm looking down here at some of the comments. Ken, oh no, he was talking about Sandra with her mum's gone to bed. I think also Megan comes up with a good point when she says it's used sometimes in manifestation practices. We're trying to make, we're lifting our vibration, becoming a more powerful entity in ourselves. And you know what? That's the one thing that's never come to my mind in those moments between me and my beautiful boyfriends that have batteries. I've never actually done the whole manifestation, seen it in that way. I've never actually, and it's only recently that having these conversations, I'm actually I must have been I've been blinkered. I haven't seen it as in being, between me and the divine vow,
Well, we don't. I mean, you have to make that a conscious effort, because we're so used to, just kind of taking care of our own needs that we forget about what the power that it does have.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Next time, I would definitely have a different view on it. Phil Guy says sex first, then I will do the chores. Are you saying that from a guy's point of view? You have sex first and then the women do the chores? Come on. Sex is a motivator for whom? For men? For women? Or just,
Just in general.
I don't think I've ever seen sex used as a motivator for a guy to go and do the chores. I've not seen them jump out of bed and gone, right, you've had a great time. We've had a great time. I'm going to go and clean the house now.
Yeah,
Never.
no.
Never seen
now, if you say, wash dishes, take out the garbage, and then we'll go to the bedroom, they will get on the ball. But, you give the prize first. They'll do it later.
Exactly. But sex is a motivator. Yes. Isn't that that's not sacred at all. That isn't using sex as a sacred thing as a motivator. It's more like a case of you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. Carlene says, no, they go to sleep. And no, I would do. Oh no, Phil Guy says he would do chores for the sex.
Oh.
Isn't that like buying it in some ways? Like you
I
scratch.
wouldn't. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like.
I don't know. Do we know if Phil Guy's got a girlfriend? I only fell asleep once. Jeez. No, I do not. He doesn't. He's available, ladies. Bring him on. Phil Guy, I'm going to take us into Afterglow, and I'm going to open it up to people to come in and join us. But it's like, if you're single, come and mingle with us. We'd like to chat with you. I'm just going to put the invite up for anyone to come on and chat with us about sacred sex, virginity, or sex magic, which obviously, where's the paste? There we go. Let's put this in the comments. Right, so anyone can just join in. Come on to StreamYard. We will welcome you into our little coven. We're always very friendly. Phil Guy, we want to know more about your situation. Let's just take that out. Let's just take us into Afterglow. We'll be right back. Bear with us a sec. Very suitable, that, isn't it? Afterglow, after the subject of sacred sex that we've been talking about. The ladies will be back in a minute. They've just literally run off. Phil Guy says he wish he could come on, but he's at work. We'll let you off. But yes, it's called, we call the Afterglow because it's when we bring you guys back on, or anyone who wants to come and join us, because we're friendly, Val. We invite people in to come and talk to us, don't we?
Absolutely.
He says, I've got to go back. We'll watch rest later. Make sure you do. Here comes Carly. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to bring this up because a little banner needs to come up. Here we go. We need to have Afterglow. Like, share, and subscribe. Or maybe we'll just do this one. Wicked Women 888. Please, if you're new to us, please follow at Wicked Women 888 on YouTube. You can also find us at Wicked Women 888 on Instagram as well, and including Twitter. Ladies, interesting subject today. People seem to like it when we talk about the 3-letter word, and I do think that there are topics we can look at, as in sex magic, ritual, etc., which we want to do. But it was a real topic that I wanted to bring up because it came up with a friend I was talking about how a connection is so sacred between two people. And how do we feel when we think that sacred sex, that sacred connection is sacred, and then we find out from our partners that it certainly wasn't?
Heartbroken. Because definitely I would say if I was in the level of it being sacred with them, that I was definitely feeling it from my heart. And if come to find out that they weren't, and it was just a quickie, casual, whatever, I absolutely heartbroken, especially. And then that would take me into, almost going back to like those virginity type like thoughts. So like of like, I've been giving myself up in a way to this person and my heart was involved, but yet here they didn't feel the same. Oh,
yeah, sure. I mean, for me, that's how I felt as well. Like it wasn't just being unfaithful. It wasn't just like breaking. It was the connection. Because, the other thing as well is when you sleep with somebody, you build a connection. The moment you have sex with someone, you build a connection. You don't only just share. If you do this, not everybody, some people don't do this, but if you are in a relationship where you don't use birth control or protection, you don't only share just your DNA and your fluids, you're actually, you're sharing yourself, you're sharing your essence of yourself. And so you have this great connection, and all of a sudden, whether it's 5 years or 5 months or whatever down the road, you find that it wasn't that special to that person. You feel like that it's ripped you apart, like it's literally taken something from you. And so the next time you meet someone and you have sex, think about having sex or building that connection vow. It's been jaded in us, hasn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, when you do have that bond, you think you have that bond, and then you find out that it's either been broken or it was one-sided. It does take some, take something away from you.
Mm-hmm.
And it does, tend to make you put up walls for other people, that may not be the same way, but, you don't know that. So, I think it makes you very cautious.
Yes. Yeah. Because I don't know about you ladies, but I cannot, like we talked about it being a connection between mind, body, and spirit, or mind, body, and soul. And for me, like I've always found it difficult to be in a relationship with someone where I'm not connected to all three.
Yeah.
There's not this connection where I feel it in my soul, or gut, wherever one you want to look at, like we talked about last week with the intuition, or I'm not going to give my body unless I feel it. And also my mind, I'm really into this person. And I know some people, as you say, do have sex without this connection. They can. But I also feel in some ways, as Val said, quite rightly, Carly, you're selling yourself short because you know the difference between casual and I don't really care if it's we're connected or not. And I don't know about you, but as I've got older, I don't want that other kind of sex anymore. Is that because we're getting older, do you think, or is it because we've actually seen the light?
I think it's both. I think it's in one part, we know that it's not going anywhere. And I think the older you get, the more you're looking for that connection.
Yeah.
That not just attraction, not just, not just one or the other, but all. You're hoping to find someone who connects all of them.
Yeah,
all those.
I want to be amazed. That there's someone out there, Val, that can still make you feel that way like you did before it was broken. It's like, can we actually get back to that feeling?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Mm.
You can. I'm here to tell you, you can. It can happen.
See, I would say right now in my life where I sit today, I find it very hard to find that connection again. Very, very hard. Carlene's put, as you get older, you want meaningful sex versus the quickie. Well, we all have quickies, especially if we're due to go somewhere and it's like, come on, you got 10 minutes, let's get going. But you're right. Meaningful sex. Do you think guys, Carly, see sex as meaningful when they get older, but when they're younger it's different? Do you think it's just, I mean, every guy is different, but do you feel like they see it as that?
I mean, I can't speak for a guy, but I would say that I would actually think it would be the opposite for them. Because I would see them more so as getting fed up with it and over it and not necessarily looking for that relationship anymore like the women are. And maybe they're more so like, F it, I want to be single now. I'm just going to do the casual quickie thing. So that's my viewpoint. But hey, maybe Ken can tell us something
Ken is
different.
here to speak for the male population. Over to you, Ken.
Hello, guys. That's me, Mr. Virgin. KB, that's my middle initial.
Hello.
How you doing? What's the question? What is the question?
we were talking about like sex being sacred, and when we're younger, it's kind of this excitement. We want to do it, want to see what it's like, and etc.
Yeah.
But society has told us many years ago, looking back when we were growing up, that it was sacred between a man and woman and a husband and wife, and it was, as we get older in today's world, do you still feel that guys see it as meaningful and sacred or not? So
It depends. I mean, some do, some don't. Some happy fellows think it's sacred, and some of them don't. I mean, it depends. I mean, on the person itself. It's like a guy that gets a virgin, he's got to basically show what to do, and sometimes how to act, and so he's gonna try to make the virgin what he wants. And same thing, vice versa. If you got a woman that's a cougar, and she meets a guy that's never had sex, she can train him the way she wants to be trained, the way she wants him to be. So you got to look at it like that. And as far as it being sex as being a reward, what type of reward? I mean, if you go hold out on a guy, and it's any woman, and I'm speaking for me, if you think that thing is made out of gold and you want to hide it from me, it's not lined with gold. So don't think you can use that against me. Well, I'm not going to give you anything, because until you do this, no, it's not a bargaining tool. It's not a tool. And if you think that, hey, drag ass. That's my opinion. If you think you can use it against me as a tool, drag ass.
Why is it that women are able to do that to some men?
Well, some men are weak. They're henpecked. If you put the heads down, you look on top of the head, you see peck marks. That's my opinion. I mean, so my nickname to them would be Henry Henpeck. No, but no, if a man's that weak and he's going to let a woman manipulate him and using her body, because it can't be, if it's that damn good, hey, she needs to get off the moneymaker, make some real money. I mean, come on. I mean, if that damn good, you better get off of it and make you some big bucks, because it's not lined with gold. And I haven't yet known any woman's lined with gold.
Are you saying sex is sacred, though, Ken, in that question?
Do I say it's sacred? It can be, between two parties. It's again, it's what you make it. I mean, if you have just a hang and bang and thank you and I'll see you tomorrow or whatever, that's okay. I mean, that's the way that it is. But again, it depends on the person and the mental status, and how they're handling what they think, the whole 9 yards.
So were you taught from a younger age that it was a sacred thing between man and women, and it shouldn't be treated any other way? Were you taught that?
No. Be honest with you, no, I was not taught that. I'll be the first one to tell you that. I'm not gonna sit here and put a little shit on it.
Men are usually not, are they?
No, they're usually not. No. A guy's thing is back when I was young is, hey, wow,
As many, back when you were younger, did people kind of like the more you had, the better you are?
Well, that's a myth. I mean, that's something that thinks he's God's gift to woman, and he used to call himself a 60-minute man. He was more like a 30-second fella. That's the kind of guys you got to look at. The whole 9 yards.
Did you see when you lost your virginity that it was, you were glad to get rid of it, or was it?
I was scared. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was scared as hell. I ain't gonna lie. It happened on a Halloween night. Many. I'm trying to remember that far back. It was on a Halloween night. I was trick-or-treating, young kid, probably 12 years old, and I was going through this yard. I'll never forget it. Going through this yard, and they had somebody had a boat in the backyard, and some girl said, "Come here." It's Halloween night. So I walk up to the boat. Next thing I know, I'm naked as a jaybird, scared as hell. But hey, once I got over the little stiffy scaredness, I was okay.
And then once it gone, did you sort of feel like, oh, I'm glad it's gone, and now I've moved on to a whole new ball game, or was it like, oh, okay?
Well, it was like, hey, man, it was like, be honest. If a guy, I'm a guy, I'm gonna be honest. Wow, I got to do this again. It felt good, I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, hey, wow.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. You go back home at night, you're going, wow. And the sad part it was, I never seen her after that. But whoever she was, thank you.
You're a dad, and you're also a granddad. And did you bring up your children, your daughters, to see it as something sacred?
Well, you tell your kids that. Then again, you can tell your kids anything you want to tell them. You can't live with them 24 hours a day. All you can do is give them the information and hope they will abide by it and hope they'll use it. But again,
did you treat your girls and your boys different when it comes to that?
Well, the girls, you just tell them try to wait to get married. Your guys, your son, well, that's my boy. I mean,
that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's my boy.
See, I just have girls, so did you, as a dad, did you?
Well,
teach your girls and your boys different?
If any guys on here got any balls about themselves, and they're not trying to kiss up to the ladies and try to act like, oh no, not me. You're a liar. If you're a full-fledged man, you're a boy. Yeah. When I found my sons were having sex, my thing is use protection, be safe. But that's my boy. I mean, a guy with own jeans, my own loins. I mean, but no, guys are different than when it comes to the guys. You tell your boys use protection. Make sure you do that, because of diseases and things like that. You want to protect yourself. And you tell them what you tell them, but like I said, they're gonna do what they want to do, regardless, girls or guys. You can plant in their head all day long, but you can't be with them 24 hours a day. That's just like 21-year-old I saw on here tonight. She goes, instead of going back, she's babysitting the house. I don't think the house would have ran anywhere. If that guy had any decency about him, he wouldn't have had sex in her parents' house. He should have said, "Hey, baby, come on, let's go down the road to my house. The house will be fine. We'll lock the doors. Ain't nobody go. The house is not going anywhere. It's gonna stay right where it's at." I mean, that's just me. I wouldn't disrespect somebody else's house like that. That's just me.
It's interesting though, because if you go back to biblical times, early times, we talk about Adam and Eve being the first couple, and that they were given the gift of sex for a variety of purposes. One obviously being procreation, building a family. But obviously, as time went on, like how many of us still see that it should be saved for marriage? It should be,
like you said, it's for having families, and that's for recreation and fun. That good feeling. It's almost like a drug. You want that feeling. It's like a drug addict. It gets that first high. Once you got that first high, I got to do it again. I got to get that same feeling. I got to get that same high. So now you can look at it like it's almost a drug type of thing. It feels good. I got to keep doing it. I'm just saying, don't kill the messenger.
Where do you think it changed, Ken, from being really sacred to then generations of like, actually, it's okay to have sex and not have that connection?
Look, it's not just one generation. It's been happening for centuries. Some people like to blame it on the '60s, free love movement, peace, love, and the whole 9 yards. People were doing it back in the '20s, in the roaring '20s. They were doing it. It was just, you just didn't talk about it. Like today's society, we talk about anything. In this world today, we can be anybody we want to be, and say basically what we want to say, as long as we don't threaten anybody to kill them. Society has changed, but it's been happening for centuries. Nothing's changed. It's been pushed in the closet. You didn't talk about it. Every now and then, they might sneak out, and one of the guys hear about it, and next thing you know, it's out there. I mean, it's no certain generation. It's been happening for centuries.
It's an interesting point, Val, Carly, that, when we're having sex, one word we tend to say a lot. Well, I'm sure all of us have said it at one point, and I'm sure we say it a lot. We go, oh God. Oh God, when we're having sex or when we have an orgasm, the oh God comes into it, right? Isn't that kind of, that's a sacred word, and yet we're bringing it into sex, right? So when we started the conversation about sex being sacred with the divine, a gift from the divine, is it a biological? Is it a divine gift? What do you feel like? What do we feel? what it actually is, or all of them?
Life's a gift.
Yeah. It's
That's it.
all.
Life's gift.
It's
all.
everything. It can be one or the other, but it's everything.
Yeah.
Depending on the individual.
Right. Well, there you go. So I hope that we've cleared some things up tonight, because what we started looking at intuition last week. We've done sacred sex this week, but I really want to kind of work up to perhaps doing the ritual, and definitely look at. We've been talking about it for so long with white magic, black magic, satanic witchcraft, because the whole women side of that. So this is something we will come back to as in sex magic, because I definitely would like to look at Aleister Crowley, Ida Craddock, and people like that did sex magic, believed in it, and practiced it quite a lot. And of course, if there's anything you want us to look at or talk about on Wicked Women, we're more than happy. Carly, for you, like this show, when we talked about it, we found this photograph and I couldn't get it up onto, I'll rephrase that. I couldn't upload it up onto StreamYard, and it actually was a vagina with a tattoo of Virgin Mary, seeing as the two as being sacred. It was amazing. We were going to share it. I might be able to bring it up actually on my phone. Let me have a look.
But sure it's one thing. It's one thing, Wendy. I'm sure. What would a guy say that sex has got to be a reward? When the hell does this bring that? Sex is not a reward. It should be a gift or reward because you do something for your spouse or your girlfriend. So if I do this, I get a reward. I get to have sex. Sex should not be a bargaining tool. Period. It should not be a bargaining tool.
It's a mutual thing.
Yeah, if like I said, don't use that. Any woman or guy, don't use your body to hold something over somebody, and then that's totally wrong. I mean, either you love them or you don't. If you don't want to have sex, and that's all you want is a spouse just to live with, or a boyfriend just to live with. Hey, look, you or yourself can do better living by yourself, but don't hold your body against a man or a woman saying if you do this, you get this. Guess what? I don't need it that bad. I would tell them in a heartbeat. I may be old and ugly, but believe me, it's somebody out there for you. That's my opinion.
Ladies,
and don't kill the messenger.
Out of the dark comes the voice of JP. Right at the end of the show, intimacy of any type should never be a bargaining tool. 100%.
Right on. That's it. It's not a tool
never be. There are, however, he says, playful exceptions to the rule. Jason, as usual, you're coming right at the end. I think he's hiding from us, actually, Val.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between, like he said, playful exceptions. There's a difference between someone seriously using it in a manipulative way and then just playfully, there's a big difference.
Yes, and please remember that. Jason says, I've just got back from traveling Route 66. That's it. Really rub it in, because I really want to do that. Never, ever, ever bargaining tool for chores, whatever. It is sacred. Your body is sacred. It is a temple. Do not give it to anybody that you do not think is worthy of it, or is at least, the connection between you. If it's just casual and you want to do it, that's absolutely fine. You can do that. Make sure you've got that wall of protection up there emotionally, because it can always go the other way. But if there is this connection between the two of you, it is a sacred thing. Treat it in that way. Treat it as the fact that it is precious. Thank you very much for everyone that's joined us on. We've had quite a lot of comments tonight going down here. Phil Guy obviously came on right at the end. It'd be interesting to have seen. And Sandra, we'll never know now until next week what the story was. Val, any last thoughts?
Well, I agree with Ken. Never use it as a tool to get what you want, or manipulative way. You know, I think you should take pride in everything you do, and accept it as what it's supposed to be. It is supposed to be a spiritual bond.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, we need to go farther into the ritualistic part of it, but I don't think that anyone should ever do anything that they don't want to do.
Yes.
You should never let anyone, use that as a tool to get you to do what they want you to do.
And also, if you are a virgin, be proud of it. You don't have to get rid of it. There isn't a time limit. There isn't a clock ticking down. They bring up these movies like 40-Year-Old Virgin, like it's a joke that he's still a virgin.
Yeah.
Then they do films like, what was the one with Demi Moore and Michael Douglas in? She was a sexual predator.
Striptease.
No, it's the other one. It begins with D. I can't remember it now. But women can be seen as predators. Carly, what's your views on tonight? What we chatted about?
I've got so many. I mean, I really want to my thoughts are really scattered. My ADHD is really going right now with all these thoughts. I would really like to do a show where I don't know the exact title of it yet, but where we're actually speaking to the men more and speaking on it from a men's perspective as we can, because we value it and see it, I feel, so much differently than men. I feel like it is always a sacred act for us, even if we might say it's not. Even if we say it's just a quickie or it's just casual. I have talked to people, I have sexual conversations all the time. I don't hide my sexuality. And a man tried telling me that emotions are not involved in sex with him. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, even if you're going for a quickie or a casual one, you're still having an emotional connection. You might not be fully giving away your heart, but sex is sacred, people. You can't say that it's not. Think about the energy that comes from it, what you're doing, the act of it. It's not just getting the deed done. It's not just fulfilling a physical thing.
I think there has to be a certain amount of attraction, or you have to kind of want to before you can, even in a casual setting, there has to be some sort of attraction there.
Yes.
As Jason put, to assume it's not sacred for men is a load of malarkey. I think also as well, when you've known someone quite a long time and you've been with them for quite a long time, you know each other inside out. Your DNA almost becomes exactly the same, and that's how so many people can donate, kidneys and etc. Because they were bonded, they've gelled so much, they've connected, and the more sex you have with someone, the more your even your DNA becomes so similar. And I think it's really important to remember that you, as a human being, you are a divine, I have to say this again, a divine sovereign being in our own way. We don't often treat our bodies well. We don't treat them as temples. We have given our bodies over, male or female, we've given our bodies over to people sometimes that didn't deserve them, we didn't deserve to have sex with us. And we look back and go, why did I do that? I sold myself short. I sold myself down the river. I shouldn't have done that. And I think that as you get older, wisdom does come with age, I have to say. And you do start to see it as a more sacred thing. It's like, no, this is a bloody temple. I am going to take care of what I put in it, who I put in it, and who I share it with. And it's not just willy-nilly. And I think, using the pun, but I think, it's okay to be casual. It's okay to have that if that's what you want. As long as the heart doesn't get involved, because then you are going to get problems, and it does.
Well, see, I think we have to be more particular. It's when you're younger, it's kind of, you could meet someone and if you're attracted to them, okay. The older you get, it's more, you have to have more of a, it's not, you have to have more than just, okay, he's cute,
You want more though, don't you? Because
That's what I mean.
yeah,
It has to be more than just that. The older you
please,
get,
someone,
you want more of a bond. You
and
want that.
someone,
It's kind of like you're searching for it.
you want someone, and it's really good to not just have your body, but you have your mind.
Yeah.
I actually find it's extremely sexy to have a guy who's got something going on up there, and he brings something to the table from an educational point or a knowledge point, and you're listening to him and you're going, my God, you're sexy. Because
I mean, there's some women out there that if they're attracted to somebody, that's all they need. They just keep telling them, don't open your mouth, don't talk. But, because you're going to ruin it.
Bite down on this stick.
Yeah, just don't. Just don't open your mouth.
Brace yourself.
But I think, in most cases, you want someone that you can connect with, not just on a sexual level.
Absolutely.
You want to be able to connect with them, just even talking to them, or, that attraction to more than just the way they look.
I hope that leave everyone tonight before we go, realizing that we are sacred and special, and we should all treat ourselves and other people in that way, which we won't, and we don't always, but we should. And to realize that at the end of the day, nobody and no one should make you feel that you should give your body or anything else unless it's really, really sacred to you. Now, tell us about this week before we go. What's on this week in your world? What's coming? What's coming on? What's happening?
Are you and Scotty going to be on Tuesday night?
Yeah, all being well. Fingers crossed. Robertson will return Tuesday night.
Ken he'll pop on whenever he takes wild hair. I don't know really when he's coming on, but he could possibly be on this week. Sometime 9:00 morning coffee. Scotty's on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays with Intrepid Radio. I will be back. I think it's next Saturday. Next Saturday's the first Saturday in July.
6th of July.
So I will be back with Miss Legends of the Paranormal, 7:00 Eastern Time on Facebook Live with Miss Legends of the Paranormal. And I've got several guests coming on. And then next Sunday, hopefully, if nobody else gets eat up by anything or anything like that.
Tell us what happened to you this week, Val.
Yeah, I got dive bombed by a big old wasp and got some cellulitis, and it's doing a lot better now, though.
When I saw her the other day, it was bright red, and it was
almost purple. It was so red.
And I said, you gotta go.
I'm so glad Wendy talked you into going, because cellulitis can be dangerous. My daughter.
Yeah, I would have ended up in the ER most likely that night if I hadn't went on.
Yeah, because
so I am glad I gave in.
Did they start you on IV antibiotics?
They gave me a steroid shot and started me on antibiotics.
Good.
And it's but that was 2 days after I'd been stung.
Yeah.
So, he was not a happy wasp.
Well, the worst thing about it was that it was in her car, wasn't it, Val? They'd actually built a nest in the car.
They had built a nest. When you open the car door, the front of the back door where there's an indent, there was a nest in there. So it's really a wonder I didn't get hit more than once.
because they come up. That's the thing. When you see wasps or bees or whatever, and they're like floating around the bottom of your car, they're looking like spiders are exactly the same. They're looking for somewhere to make a nest, and you don't think about that when you get in your car. So that was
I didn't. Until I got in my car, I went to the gas station, got out, went in, come back, and when I opened my car door to come home, that's when he hit me so hard it knocked the drink out of my hand.
Oh.
And he didn't just sting me, he took a big chunk out of my arm, which caused the cellulitis.
Ow.
So I was not happy. And they didn't last long after I got home.
We kept sending each other memes this week of like, die, you bastard, die, you know? Because wasps are, or hornets, and now we've got the Euro hornet, whereas this huge beast, and it's like, we're not used to the sting. I actually heard of a dog that recently got stung, and apparently they've got this big lump come up, and I actually think they could have exactly the same of what you've got, Val, and I hope they take it to the vet. I'm not sure if they've done that. Carly, what about you? What's on your schedule this week?
Oh my goodness, Wendy, to be honest, it's been such a week for me too that I don't even know. I have to look at my schedule. I don't know if I have any doctor's appointments. This week is just Manic Monday. Here I come.
Well, it's the first week of July, and we're obviously like halfway through the year. We're now had the longest day of the year, so all our days will start to get shorter until we reach obviously the 21st of December. For me, lots of appointments. I've got a wedding and etc. to do as well this week. But as Val said, very briefly before we go, Scotty Roberts, Intrepid Radio, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and Sunday morning breakfast show on YouTube or Scotty Roberts. You can find the times. The lovely Val, Myth, Legends, the Paranormal. You can find her on Valerie Razsnake on Facebook. Robertson, Tuesday nights, YouTube, Facebook under Scotty Roberts, and under his YouTube page, Robertson. And Ken, who disappeared, who came on and gave us just a few moments of his time. Ken Ballos, Facebook. It would be 2:00 in the afternoon UK time most days, which I think is 9 a.m. your time, isn't it, in Virginia?
Yes.
And then next week, Wicked Women will return roughly around the 10 o'clock. We always try to give a few minutes, but we will be back around 10 o'clock next Sunday. Look out for the promo. We might just follow this on next week by doing the sex, magic, and ritual. I think we should. I think we started doing the women's intuition. Then we've moved it into the whole sacred sort of sex and virginity, and I think it would be good to carry on this and do that whole witch ritual, satanic, pagan, Wiccan, whatever. And if you ladies hang on as I go into the credits, we'll talk about it. But I just want to thank you guys for joining us here tonight. Val, you look amazing in red. It is your color.
Thank you. And you always look gorgeous. You and Carly both come on looking all spit shined.
Carly looks fabulous. She's doing the whole pinky red, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to accent my lighting here for the sacred sex and really, get into it.
I love it. She was like, when she came on, she was like, I'm in the whole light. Can you just not see? I'm feeling the vibe. Well, we know we like to make sure that you guys have a good show, and we really hope you enjoy Wicked Women. If you do, please like, share, and subscribe. Wicked Women 888 on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Instagram. I would take Wicked Women 888 to TikTok. We could, but we can't bring it through StreamYard. We can only do live through TikTok. And I'm sure maybe we could do that. Maybe we could do a different night of the week, but we've all got lives and busy things to do. So we will be back next Sunday. I'm trying to find the thingies as I do. Let's take the banner off. so it can bring us all in. Ladies, I love you. Have an amazing week.
Love you
Get up-
back, and you do the same.
Get up
Love
to
you too, ladies. Also, hopefully we stay
do
healthy.
the hearts, Carly, because I can't do them.
I
I
can.
know they don't work for me either.
They don't work for me either. Look, they don't work. What has she got that we haven't?
It's
She has a heart. I don't know.
the
I don't know.
hearts.
It won't do it.
All right, my loves. Take care of yourselves and each other. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.